everybody, it's your boy Itz-Beez-Da TrackStar and welcome back to Dancehall Masterclass. Continuing where we left off from last episode, we're working on the bass, so I won't waste any time, we'll just get straight into it. So in the last video what I did, I added a filter to the bass and I also lowered the velocity on 2 notes of the bass because they were just a little bit too low, they had too much power, so I had to filter them out some. So continuing on, we're about to show 2 different techniques of how we could address the kick and the bass, and whichever one you choose to go with is up to you. I personally, I am a fan of side chaining my kick to my bass, but EQing the bass to fit the kick is also another option. Basically what I mean by that is if I play this track, if we look at the kick, you can see that it's very dominant right around. We're at 96 hertz, but it's a wide curve. So everything around 96 hertz. If we play the bass, let's go up a little bit on the filter. You can see most of the energy lives in the low end. So you have 2 instruments that live in the low end. You typically have to sacrifice a little bit of one to help the other. In this situation, we'll sacrifice some of the bass to help out the kick. And basically what I mean by that is I am going to change the way the bass basically is played by simply EQing it. So if we get to, let's switch this, let's get to 96 hertz. Right about there. And what we will do is we'll drop out, not as wide, something like that, but something very narrow. And we'll drop out about 3 dBs or something like that of this frequency to kind of fit the kick in there. And then because we're taking out a little bit up here, we'll open up the filter so we can get a little bit of that body back. Now if we play that with the track, you know what I mean? It's very cohesive. They fit, them work. So let's take off the EQ off of the bass, take the EQ off the kick and listen to the before. You know, when the bass plays, you can barely even tell that there is a kick. You know, you can only hear the kick at certain parts where the bass gets low. So with the EQ on for both, awesome. So the second method, like I said, is side chaining, which is my preferred method. So what I'll do is I'll mute the EQ. I'll actually load another EQ. And the reason for that is because I always filter my bass, always. So I'll cut off the same as here, so about 43, like that. Just high pass, low pass, won't be doing any type of cutting for the kick. And next we'll load the stock FL Studio limiter. I just did a video on my YouTube channel about side chaining. In this situation, I'm using the stock compressor, but on my channel, I showed how to use a waves compressor or the fab filter compressor to side chain the kick and bass. So it's very simple. So what we will do, we will take the kick and we will, this little arrow here, we're going to right click and we're going to go to side chain to this track. So now we are sending a copy of the kick into that channel, but we won't hear it because the volume is all the way turned down. We don't need to hear it anyway. And now what we'll do is we'll accept the sidechain signal in the compressor. So we do that by switching to compressor here because we're on limiter. So switch to compressor. And right here where it says sidechain, you right click and you accept the kick. If I didn't route the kick before I went and did that, it would not have shown up. So now we just have to set the threshold just like how a compressor operates. As far as this series goes, I haven't really talked about compressors, but basically you have threshold, ratio, attack, release. Simple. The threshold is the level at which if the compressor passes over, let's put it like this. If you set your threshold to -20, every time the volume goes above -20, the compressor will compress it to a select ratio. So if you set 2:1 as the ratio and the volume goes over the ratio, which is 20, let's say it goes over by 10. So if it goes over by 10, you divide that basically. So 2:1 means for every 2 over, you only let 1 through. So if we go over by 10, you just divide that in half, you get 5. You know what I mean? The attack is how quick the compressor will start to compress. Basically, if you set a very slow attack and the compressor, the threshold is breached and it goes over, like I said, it goes over by 10 dB, but you have a very slow attack, the compressor will not attack the volume immediately as it goes over. But if you have a very fast attack, as soon as the compressor detects that the threshold is broken, it starts to attack. The release is how long the compressor takes to basically let go of the signal. So if it goes over and it gets compressed and you have a very slow release, the compressor will hold on, and then eventually let go. If you have a very fast release, the compressor will just let go immediately as the signal gets back below the threshold. So it's very simple. I have multiple videos coming on that where I just break it down completely. Like, you know, I just do a whole video on it. It's a lot to get into, but I don't want to really kind of take up all the time talking about that right now. So let's get to the side chaining at hand. So let's set the threshold. Let's play the 808. We need to have the volume playing so we can see where the levels are. Okay. So I'll set my levels right about there. Cool. My ratio currently is off. 1:1 means no type of compression. Nothing will happen. So I'm going to use a very aggressive ratio. We're going to go 20:1. And this is basically, now the compressor is a limiter. Anything above 10:1 is limiting, okay? Some people will say anything above 4:1 is limiting, but that's for later on when we get into compressors and stuff like that. So right now I'm just going to go full all the way up, 20:1. So now, as you can see, now that the ratio is up, we're starting to get some compression or gain reduction, same thing. But with the ratio off, it's not doing anything. So just listen to how the kick comes out more as I increase the volume. And like I was saying, if I were to have a very slow release, you can see how long it's taking the compressor to get back up to try and compress again. If I had a very slow attack and a very fast release, we actually aren't even getting any compression at all. You know, so you can kind of get an idea of what is going on. So we'll have a very fast release and a very fast attack. And sometimes, depending on the quality of the compressor, that could be disastrous because a very fast release, very fast attack. Some compressors, especially digital compressors, will behave like just behave like fart. Cool. And the more we lower the threshold, the more gain reduction we will have, the more the kick will come through. Nice. Let's move on to the hi-hats and the percussion. Okay. Cool. And we didn't really need to do a lot to the percussion. They're very, simple. This rhythm has a lot of space, so it's not really a thing where we're like fighting for space. So what I did was I pound one to the left, I pound one to the right, and just increase the volume until they're noticeable. The last instrument for us to add now is the arpeggiated piano pattern that we created. So now what I will do, and I waited until last to do this on purpose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the main piano and I'm going to break it off center. Currently, it's just playing a stereo image, basically. It's as stereo as you can get. So let's solder that. So I'm going to break the plane. I'm going to push this about 20%. And if you look in the top left-hand corner up there, you will see me just watching the numbers until we get to about 20%, like that. This arpeggiated pattern, I'm going to push this while I'm playing over to the right until I get it to a spot where I like it. Nice. Let's introduce an EQ into this. I'm going to use the dead duck equalizer. And basically, like I said, the reason why I'm using this one is right now is in this situation, while I need what do you call it? I need an EQ with a filter. I just want to get into the habit of using these to get familiar with them. I haven't tried them out yet. I know what the FL Studio parametric EQ does. It's one of my favorite EQs, but I haven't really used the dead duck EQs all that much. And as they are the only EQs I have available in this course by choice, I do need to get familiar with them. So that will be the EQ of choice this time around. So let's go ahead and filter out all the way up to about 230. We don't need any at the bottom. We barely need the mids on this. We need the top end on this piano. And this is why I have the other EQ, because that is what I will boost. Okay, cool. So we will select our frequency and we will go to about 5,500 on the high mid frequency, and then on the high frequency we'll go to about 20K. So let's widen the Q, and the Q is basically, if you look at this curve, that's the Q. That's how wide. So if I were to widen the Q, just like that, that's basically what I'm doing with this knob here. That's why I wanted them to have a parametric EQ, because it's much easier to show what's going on with a parametric EQ for those who don't fully understand what's going on. So basically, this Q being all the way wide is just like this being all the way wide right there. So let's get back to this. So we are at 20K with a wide shelf or a wide bell curve. Yes, this is a bell curve here. This here is a shelf. As you can see, it looks like a shelf. So that's a shelf. That's a bell. Cool. So that's what we have on this EQ. We have a bell, a very wide bell. So we will use this now to boost some of these frequencies in this piano that I really like. So first, let's go to about 13K. Let's play again. Nice. So if we turn that off, so that's without both the EQs. And that's with both EQs. Very subtle, but the top end just comes out a bit, you know, and I really like that. This EQ here is kind of interesting because it seems to be very gentle. It's not very aggressive. And I like that, even though like I'm really, you know, kind of cranking the gain, as you can see, it's really up. It's not as aggressive as a lot of other EQs probably would be for a free plugin. So something to keep your eyes on. Like I said, I'll definitely be going into it a lot more. It's just as I like how it's moving right now. It's very nice, you know. I mean, it's very musical. I really like that for a free piece of gear. So that's that. As far as the instruments go, we have we basically have everything mixed and, you know, kind of down to a nice little balance, and it's a very good, nice balance. The only thing that we may, I'm not sure if I will add, I don't really feel the need to right now, it's probably some reverb just to kind of create a nice, you know, little mellow atmosphere, but it doesn't seem as if it needs one right now. So that's something that we'll get to once we come to that bridge. But in the next video, I'll just go through, arrange it, you know. Like I said, files are available for everything to download, and the beat itself, the finished beat, I'll post it on a page, you know, just so you can check it out. The files are available for the beat, so you can, you know, open it up and really see what's going on. So yeah, until next time, peace.